Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers, and today we are making our very first Christmas craft of the season. I am extremely excited. You can see that I haven't even had a chance to change the decor of the studio over to Christmas yet. I guess it's kind of, still in the Thanksgiving mode, but I'm really ready to go ahead and switch everything over. And today we are going to use the Cricut Joy, and we are going to use the card mat, and we are going to make Christmas cards. So we are going to do some really fun stuff. So I'm going to show you, pre-designed cards that are available in Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to show you how to create your own cards within Cricut Design Space. So we're going to make both a pattern, we're going to make our own pattern Christmas card, and we're going to make a nativity scene Christmas card. And so I'm going to give you tips and tricks on how to create the pattern, but I'm also going to give you some tips on if you're using an image, like a more detailed image, the things that you have to do to it so that it can easily be cut as a card. And we're going to talk about corners and all those kinds of things. So if you have not ever made cards before with your Cricut Joy, today is definitely for you. If you have made cards but maybe not made your own, from scratch, today is for you. Or if you just want some Christmas inspiration, today is for you. Okay, so let's hop over to Cricut Design Space. I'll show you everything that we're doing, and then we'll pop back over to the craft table and put it all together. And by the way, I love to hear from you guys. So if you would, want to talk to me, leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear your words, your voice. I'd love to hear from you. And then if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button, because I have tons and tons and tons of Christmas stuff on the way. All right, guys, let's go. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and these are the things that we're going to be working with today. So I wanted to show you a couple of things so you can go into Cricut Design Space and you can use their pre-designed cards made for Joy, and they will be adding more Christmas cards, I'm sure, for this season. Right now, there are roughly, I would say maybe 40 or so that are created specifically for the Joy. But I'm sure they're going to be adding more. So we'll hop over and check those out. And then I also wanted to show you how to make your own. So to make something completely that is 100% you. And so these over here are ones that I made. I made a pattern, and then I created one of the Nativity. And then this one, Warm Wishes, this is Warm Christmas Wishes. Pre-designed, Be Merry is pre-designed, and then Merry Christmas is pre-designed. Okay, so let's go over into images, and I'm just going to show you how to find these cards really quick. So over in the left-hand side, you'll see operation type, you'll see layers, project type. So what we want to do is we want to click cards, and then that's going to bring up all the cards that are in Cricut Design Space, 3,629. Now, just so you know, not all of them were created for the Joy. So as you scroll through, you'll see images that were, like old Cricut images, and they're great, and you can make those into a Joy card, but they weren't set up specifically for the Joy. So the next thing you want to do is you want to type in Christmas. And so, okay, here's some of those older cards I was talking about. So these were not created for the Joy, but you could make them into Joy cards, and I'm going to show you how to do that too. So if you scroll down, though, you'll start to see some of the Christmas cards. A lot of these are, kind of modern or funny. So if you love those, you can grab those, or again, you can go with a couple of the traditional that I picked out, as well as make your own. So now that we have these, I'm just going to pop back over. Oh, one thing before we go. So if you want to make your own, let's close this real quick. And so we have cards selected, and this is important. Let's type in quick corners. Okay, so if you type in quick corners without cards selected, it's going to bring up a ton of things that you don't want. There are 20 results in this, and these are corners that were created specifically for the Cricut Joy card sets. Okay, so you can scroll down and you can see the different ones that, like, this is really fun for Christmas. I like that one a lot. But you can see all of the elements that were created. So if you do not have Cricut Access, this one is free. It's a straight line, and then this rounded one is free. Okay, if you have Cricut Access, you have access basically to about 18 other corners. So just keep that in mind as you're going into the holidays, and how much crafting you want to do, if you might want to grab Cricut Access. And I'm going to put a link to it down in the description below in case you want to give that a check. Okay, so I'm going to close this because I already have my corners. cancel. Okay, so these are the 5 cards that we're going to make. So when you bring in one of these pre-designed cards, you can change the color of the pen. So like if you go over into layers, you can see this one is highlighted right here, see the pen tool. So you could go up into pens and change from fine point to gel. I would be careful with marker. Unless it's like these would be fine for marker, but when you get really close on these tiny little ones, when they started out as fine point, they're going to want to blend, right? So it's going to not be lines, it'll end up being, you know, like solid color. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing your pens. And you can also resize these. So sometimes I'll find a card that I really like, but it's not the size that I want or the size cardstock that I have, you know, like the pre-designed kits. So if you go up into size and you unclick that little icon, the little lock, and then you can, you know, make this bigger. Okay, so if you leave it proportionate, if you leave it locked, it's going to change it proportionally. But this, I wanted 4.5, let's just say, by 6. Okay, so you see it didn't distort the card, it didn't make it all weird. You have to be a little careful, but if you are working within the design sizes that Cricut already has, so there's like 3 on the card mat, then you're going to be just fine. Just keep that in mind that you'll want to unlock it, and then once you have it the size you want it, lock it back. Okay, then that way it doesn't get messed up when you're going to mat and that kind of thing. So we are going to just undo that because it was already the size I wanted it to be. And so now let me talk to you a little bit about creating your own. So you bring in those quick corners. And so once you have that quick corner, and so if I click on this and I look over here, see this is what it looks like, corner cuts A1, 4.25 by 5.5, which is the size that I want. But you could, again, adjust the size if you wanted to and your cardstock was different. Now let's talk about making this pattern. So when you make a pattern, or you make your own card at all, you always want to get a simple design. So let's go into images and we're going to search Christmas tree. So when you're looking at all these different designs, this is a great one, very simple. This one's a good one. This is the one I used. You could probably even get away with this one, although the star might be a little flimsy because all of that inside that would be cut out. So let's just bring in my tree. Oop, we brought in 2. Okay, let me click off that. We're going to delete him. Okay, so we bring our tree down and make him a little bit smaller. So to make this pattern super easy to do, the important thing is getting them aligned. So let's duplicate our tree. And then we're just going to space them out roughly. And then we'll click on all 3. Go up into Align. And then we're going to center them horizontally, which brings them all into line. And then we're going to click on that again, and we're going to distribute vertically. So that made sure that shifted this guy down in between both trees. Okay, so now let's grab all 3 of those and let's group them. Now let's duplicate twice. And so we'll move this over. And we want to make a pattern, right? So let's make the center one a little bit taller than the other. And then let's grab all 3. We'll move them down just so they're not touching. And so then we go back into a line and we're going to distribute them horizontally, okay? And so now we have this perfect pattern. So we just want to grab all 3 of those and we're going to group them. And then you can grab them at the corner and make them as big or as small as you want them to be. So super easy to make a pattern. Okay, so let's delete that one. So now for the Oh Holy Night, so for the nativity scene, when you get a little more detailed like this, you just have to be careful that everything inside of that cut is connected. Okay, so if you see there's Mary and Joseph, the staff, baby Jesus, and everything is connected to an outside element. I put this behind it, by the way. It's not going to be cut. I put it back there so you could see because I'm going to make this card black and I wanted you to be able to see the design and how that's going to look. So, but if you take this, we're going to group it just because I want to make sure it all stays together. If we look over into the layers, this element, I want to show you where that came from. So let's go over into upload, and I will give you a link to this design. So we bring that over. So you see there's a lot going on here, and I do not obviously want to cut all of that, although you could keep a lot of it. But let's go over into layers. We're going to turn off those circles. You could turn off story, true story. And then with the stars, we're going to have to eliminate some of those because they are outside of the area that we would be able to use for a card. So let's go into contour, and I will put a link up above to the contour tool if you've never used that before. I have a really quick video that will show you how to do it. So we click off of that, and we can see, oh, we may have a couple more stars. But I won't waste your time doing that. But basically, you'll just continue to delete or eliminate in the contour tool anything you don't want to cut. And so then you're left with the nativity scene. And so you see how the star is in there, which is beautiful, but you really can't have it in there because it's going to cut and fall away. So all of these other elements are attached and the stars are not. So if you go into contour, you're going to be able to click on those elements and eliminate them. Okay, so now we have all of these elements minus the star. And you're like, well, I really wanted the star. So all you have to do is click on that one element, and then we're going to duplicate it. And so you're saying, well, you're like, the star's missing. Well, it's not if you look in contour, right? So we'll go into contour. Let's move it up a little bit. I'll even make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. We're going to hide everything, everything. And then we are going to click on just the star. And so we only have the star. Okay, so now we're going to move that down into place. Okay, and so the last thing that you need to do is, so if I put this on a card right now, this outside cut would make the entire thing, everything in the middle would fall away. You wouldn't be able, like it would literally cut it out of the card. So what you want to do is if we click on that one more time, and we go into contour, we're going to eliminate that outer shell, which is that top one. And so now this is what it looks like. Now you can cut it like that and that would be, you know, fine, but you could also go back with the pen tool and just draw on the house. So the way to do that would be to one more time duplicate it, go into contour, we're gonna hide absolutely everything except for that outside edge, and then I think I'm gonna keep these two little pieces here on. Okay, so now we just have that outer shell. So what you do now is you go up into basic cut and turn that to pen. Okay, so then I'm going to use a marker in copper. Okay, so now we will move that over top of this. I think that looks pretty good. I may take off a couple little things, some more stars and some little elements there, but do you see what I did? So I was able to, you know, give it an outline. I was able to pick something that was a silhouette basically that I would be able to use. And then the last thing I did is I just went over into images and searched Oh Holy Night and brought in an image and turned it to pen and put it down here at the bottom. But then it made a beautiful, simple card that I created all on my own, something that I really liked. And that I could make for my friends and family. Okay, so I've closed the element that we were working on and we have our 5 designs left that we want to create. So the last thing that you need to do before you go over to your machine is we want to highlight each one of those cards that we designed and make sure that they are attached. And this one is. And so then we want to also check out our trees, and it wasn't, so we're going to attach. That way everything goes to the mat together. These guys should be fine because again, they were pre-designed already in Cricut. Okay, so now we make sure that we have our Joy selected, and we do, so we can make it. Our machine is going to ask us how we want to create, and we are going to use the mat. And so now we can preview or look at each one of our cards. So I'm doing all the same size today. So I'm doing a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we have our first card, we have our Christmas tree card, we have our warm wishes card, be merry, and then our final card. And so actually I'm going to use a different color for this, but it doesn't matter because that is something that I can replace when we put it on the mat. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. it finds our Cricut Joy, and then we're going to be using insert card cardstock. And so if you don't see that listed there, these are my favorites. Just go into Browse All Materials and look for Insert Card cardstock. Okay? And so now we're ready to hop over to the craft table and go through all the materials that we're going to use today. And by the way, as you create each card, so right now I'm clicked on this one on the bottom, it tells you what type of pen that you're using. So if we go back up to the top and we start with our Oh Holy Night, it gives us an opportunity to choose our base material again. We're going to use the cardstock, and then it tells us which pens we're going to be using and in what order. So you will always use pens before you cut. So just keep that in mind when you're working with your cards. Pens come first and cuts come second. So you're always going to load that pen tool in before your blade. Okay, so it tells us that we're going to start with our silver, and then coming up we'll have the copper pen, and then we'll switch that out for our fine point blade. Okay, let's go over to the craft table. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and these are the things that we're going to work with today. So I have my Cricut Joy, I have my Cricut Joy pens, my mat, I have a weeding tool, and then I actually made my Cricut Joy kit, so like the card kits that I'm going to be using today. So if you want to know how to do this, it is super simple. I'm putting a video up above that'll walk you step by step how to do that. But basically you can get 2 cards out of one sheet of 12 by 12 and 6 inserts out of one sheet. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this out of the way, and we'll cut our very first card. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to take our Joy card mat. We want to put in our insert card. So it has a protective coating on the top of the card, so make sure that you've taken that off, but the card is a little sticky. So basically once you put your insert in, and then you just close it, and it's just like a normal mat, it's going to be a little bit sticky, okay? And so then we'll place that in the Cricut Joy. Okay, so now it's ready for us to cut. It has measured and made sure that the card is where it should be. When you're using a pen for your card, you are always going to write first and then cut second. So what we want to do is we want to take out our blade, and then we want to put in our pen. Now if you have a Maker or if you have an Explorer, when you put the pen in, it's going to make a clicking noise. It doesn't do that with the Joy, so don't push down or you could break your housing. Now all you have to do is click go on your app or on your desktop. Okay, so now that the pen is done, we just take out the pen, put the top on, put back in our blade, and select go. Now you just unload your mat, and we have our very first card. It only took a couple of minutes, and it's so pretty. Okay, so whenever you're starting to take it off of this mat, it kind of self-weeds depending on how sticky your mat is. By the way, this is residue from a foil project that I did when I got it a little over on the sticky. And if you've not seen the foil cards, I'm gonna put a link to those up above. Okay, so you just pull back a little bit and gently pull your card away. And a lot of times the details will actually stick to the card. Sometimes they don't, and then you'll have to use your tool. My best advice is just to go slow if it's a very detailed, intricate card like this one is. I love the way the pen looks. Okay, so then we take it out and see a lot of that just stayed right on the mat. And if anything, did, stay, just use your tool and pop those out. And then once you've popped everything out, we'll go ahead and put in our insert. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so now let's put in our insert. Remember, we started with our pre-designed cards. You can flip them over. Make sure you get that corner in. There we go. Absolutely gorgeous. And then there's plenty of space to write on the inside. And I actually have a video about writing on the inside of these cards as well, and I'll place that up above too. How beautiful is that? Okay, so let's go on to the next card. Real quick before we make our next card, I want to show you a little tip on cleaning these off. So just take your scraping tool and then just scrape off all of the paper. And then you're ready to go again. Okay, so now our second card. So we just pop that off the mat. And again, just go slow. It's probably going to self-weed. Can always use your tools if you need to. There we go. And we can pop out any extras that we need to. And this time I think I'm going to put in glitter. So this is Cricut glitter paper, and so it doesn't, doesn't shed, and it is absolutely stunning. So then we'll just pop that over, put our insert on the inside. Okay, and then we'll move on to our third design, which is also a pre-designed, and then we will get to the ones that we created ourselves. Okay, so here we are to the third card. So we're going to insert our cardstock. Make sure we put it all the way to the edge. Close it on and insert it into the machine. Okay, so now we just unload the card, and the most fun to me, candidly, is putting in the inserts, because I love that you can personalize and change these with the pins and the inserts. And the insert part to me is just so much fun. So you can take your weeding tool and pop out any of these, that may have kind of stuck on there. Okay. And so now we have different inserts. So I have a really pretty silver and the black. And so again, these are the Cricut glitter. And so, nothing's gonna fall off and be in your envelope. And then this is like a psychedelic that actually comes out of one of the card kits. Or you could do a red glitter. So just keeping with our theme, I think the black glitter is really pretty. Let's see. The silver. Oh yes, I love the silver too. And let's just see what this one looks like. The psychedelic. That one is fun as well. I am going to kind of stick with the theme that I have going on right now. Isn't that sweet? It is so, so cute. So just like before, you would just, turn it over and go ahead and put it in. And then we'll move on to our next card. Okay, now on to the two cards that we created. And so I am actually going to use black for these. And this card is the pattern. And it does not have any pin. So this is just our Christmas tree pattern. Okay, and so now it's time for our insert. And so we could pick all different kinds of things, but I am kind of loving this silver glitter. This is Cricut silver glitter. Oops, and I just realized I missed one of the little pieces of the tree. So let's get that out. There we go. Okay, so now we can put the silver glitter in. If you had white glitter, that'd be great too. Almost like, snow-covered Christmas trees. Okay, and so there it is. Isn't that sweet? I love this glitter touch. This is so much fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our very last one, our nativity. Okay, so for our last card, and I'm really excited about this one, this is the nativity scene. And so I decided to take that glitter cardstock, that glitter, the Cricut version, and make the card itself a black glitter card. So I'm really excited about how this is gonna turn out. And I did test the pin on it to make sure that you could see, the pin on the glitter, and you can. So we're gonna go ahead and load this one in. By the way, just a quick tip, if your mat gets less sticky, best thing to do for these kind of mats is to get a new mat. but if you run into it while you're in the middle of making cards like I just did, a tiny little piece of tape strategically placed on the inside where you know it's not going to cut will help hold it in place until you can get a new mat. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing we want to do is replace our blade with our pen. So remember, pens always go first. And this is a metallic marker. Okay, so here we go. I've not ever created one with glitter before, so I'm curious to see how it's going to come out. Okay. By the way, whenever you use glitter or another kind of insert, oh my goodness, that is not the, pre-designed inserts, make sure that you choose that correct paper in Cricut. So like this glitter, it cut it twice. So it went over the design 2 times just because glitter is thicker. This is so amazing, guys. Oh my goodness, I'm excited. So excited. And look how well those markers showed up on this. Isn't that beautiful? I love the metallic markers. They are some of my favorite. And the glitter pens. The glitter pens are really cool too. Okay, so we take out those. And this is a little piece of tape I put there just to make sure that it wouldn't, move or shift, because glitter is a lot tougher. It's a lot stronger than the normal paper. Okay, so let's just get out the stars. We have a little star right there. Poke all those through in the little halo. Isn't that sweet? Get all those little details out. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. Guys, look how gorgeous that is. Okay, so then we could take white, or you could double up on the glitter if you wanted to. Oh my goodness, yes. I'm totally doubling up on the glitter. Guys, this is just beautiful. Oops, and I grabbed a second. Let's move that out of the way. Yes, absolutely doubling up on the glitter. Okay, so let's just flip it over and put our insert in. And again, guys, if you want to know how to make your own inserts, hop up and check out my video. It is really, really simple to do. These little inserts are roughly, I think 4 by 5 1/4, and they fit perfectly. Okay, so I think I just found my Christmas card. How beautiful is that? Okay, so what'd you guys think? Did you enjoy the Cricut card making process? It is tons of fun, and there's so much creativity. You can make all of your own things, or you can make some beautiful designs that they have in Cricut Design Space. Don't forget, there are corners in Cricut Design Space that you can use to make your own thing, to even use a drawn design that they have in Cricut Design Space to make your own thing. There's so many possibilities. If you love card making, today was your day. Okay, guys, so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join me for all my future videos, and I will see you guys next time.